Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Above the Brain podcast, where we open up your mind to the one that's divine, show you how to discover self and how to turn self into wealth. Yes, we are all born to be creators, and right now we're going through our leadership series. Today, we're going to be touching on the topic of effective listening, how to lead by being a great listener. Let's jump right in. As always, starting with my first point I want to go on today is leading resolves conflict. So, when you're an effective leader, and there's going to be times when you're, family or business or industry, wherever, ministry, wherever you're conducting your service or showing off these leadership skills, there will be a time where you're going to cross conflict. There's going to be disagreements, there's going to be confusion, but taking time to listen opens up for an opportunity to resolve conflict. Generally, if it's not between you and a subordinate or you and another individual within your circle, it could be between two other individuals that are working under you, that are working for you, working with you, that live with you, or what have you. Being able to listen allows you to take a neutral stance to the situation, which opens up you to show off your effective leadership skills. An effective listener can actually hear the heart of the matter. As you saw in my last video, my last episode where we talked about leading like Christ, whenever there was an issue, questions, or things arose, Jesus would say, I hear your heart, and this is the response to what you're truly asking. When you're leading, you also don't want to show that favoritism. So when you take time to listen, you can actually hear what people are truly saying. If there's a disagreement, a discourse, you can actually take time by effective listening to see which each side is coming from, and then be able to articulate based on their learning or receptive styles. You can then incorporate your coaching, your leadership, your input, your insight to resolve that conflict where you would be heard as well. Starting off by listening, another skill set with effective listening is checking for understanding. So touching on that topic of conflict resolution, when you can pull one person to the side and say, you mentioned this, is this what you're saying? And they say yes, then that's when you can open up with your input or your advice. If you're just shooting off advice at the mouth or just going off random, more than likely the person's not going to listen to you. And then you might get frustrated dealing with individuals who don't listen to you when in actuality, they are not giving you the opportunity to speak to them because they don't feel that you actually heard them. What happens in most relationships and situations is that people wait to respond. They don't listen to give input or hear the other side out. They listen to respond. They wait for you to finish talking, and then they jump back in with their claims and their accusations. And a lot of times they jump back with assumptions in most cases. And so when you're in that place of leadership, you want to be able to step back, take a moment, look at this situation in its entirety, whether it's conflict between you and somebody else, whether it's between two other people. You can actually oversee the entirety of the matter and actually get to the root of the cause and provide an effective resolution. And that starts with listening. Excuse me. Another good thing about listening, it opens up your environment for expression. What I mean by environment of expression is that you're providing an opportunity for those that you're leading to express themselves and actually get into the rhythm of stepping up as leaders. When they can express themselves and get positive feedback, that gives them the encouragement and the ability to voice themselves more, give more suggestions, more input, and help you as a leader progress in whatever it is that you're doing. Sometimes we don't have all the answers. Majority of the time, we don't have all the answers. But if we have the direction and the focus and the execution, it might inspire others to say, hey, what about this idea? What about that? And then when you incorporate it, it enlightens them more, it encourages them more, it lifts them up more, and it makes the process of leadership development that much more special and effective for you and those that you're leading. And so my next area is to, again, I want to recap with check for understanding. When you check for understanding, that stimulates the sense of care between you and those that you're leading. When you check for understanding, and they're expressing themselves to you, now transitioning over into the leadership development aspect of this is that when they express themselves, when they give input, when they give feedback, and you're able to regurgitate what it is that they said clearly, that gives them the confidence to continue in that. And so checking for understanding is very keen when you're doing effective listening. And so that can apply to every area: conflict resolution, leadership development, checking for understanding just for group dynamics and group building activities, just to make sure everyone's on the same agenda for you. And lastly, check for understanding when it comes to executing your plan, your goals, your values, your morals. If you have a vision, it's good to clearly articulate that vision. You might have to do it several times to make sure that everyone's on the same page as you. And you also want to make sure that they understand what it is that you're doing. And that way, when they don't understand and they don't have that full clarity, you can provide that to them when they ask their questions. And another big thing when it comes to listen is to not take offense. So sometimes when you're listening to somebody and they question what you're doing, or they respond to you in a negative way based on your actions or what you're doing, don't immediately take offense. Sometimes you just maybe need to hear them out. Sometimes as a leader, you might be working on a project, working on a group activity, doing something constructive, and that person might just be having a bad day. But if you automatically assume that the reason why they're responding to you or talking to you a certain way is because of you, and you take offense, then that goes back to my first point, which is enhancing conflict and not providing conflict resolution. So you want to be able to not take offense when people bring things to your attention. Again, going back to checking for understanding, sometimes we get offended when people don't understand our vision. Someone can question our vision and we get offended by the questioning rather than providing clarification on what exactly our vision is. And so that often happens when it comes to miscommunication with leadership, with listening, excuse me. And then listening also allows you, with that in mind, to receive constructive criticism. When you desire to lift others up, when you desire to impact others, you are going to receive a lot of criticism. You're going to receive a lot of feedback, a lot of commentary. And when you're an effective listener, you know how to take things with a grain of salt. You know how to brush things off. You know how to not take offense to things when people bring things to your attention. And that's going to make you a better leader, because when someone can say, hey, I don't like how you did this, or how you presented this, or how you explained that. You need to work on that. Or when you approached me this way, I didn't like that. When you spoke to me this way, I didn't like that. And being able to take that in and actually consider what people are saying, and then being able to make those changes based on that feedback, opens you up to be recognized as a great leader, someone that is also approachable, someone that also listens to those around him to improve themselves. And then when you improve yourself based on that feedback, people are going to be more inclined to trust you, to listen to you, and to support whatever it is that you're doing, because they know that if you need a word of advice, if you need some input, if you need something, and they can come to you and provide feedback or criticism, that you'll be able to receive that, with love and with care, instead of automatically rejecting it, instead of automatically shooting it down, but actually listening to those around you and then taking in what you need to in order for you to be the best version of yourself, to lead whomever you're called to lead. And so those are just some quick strategies, some quick concepts and ideas in regards to effective leadership. If you want to be a great leader, it starts with being a great listener. And as you continue to listen to others, they will listen to you. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast. And as always, be encouraged, be blessed, be inspired. Catch you next time on Above the Brain.